Hey everyone, this is Brad from WhereScape, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to load data from JSON files and API calls into your data warehouse using WhereScape RED. First, we will load a JSON file, and to do this I'm going to use the built-in file parsing capabilities within WhereScape. So we have a parser in here that will take your JSON files. It will automatically generate all of the code, a Python script that is needed to parse out your JSON file into a table and column definition. So to parse out all of the nodes in your JSON file, no matter how nested they are, into a table with columns for each node. So to do this, I'm going to browse to my ADLS location. So I just have an ADLS connection set up here with my storage account, the folder that's contains the files, and then just some obscured connection information. So I will browse to that, and what we will get here is a window that lets me browse the folder structure within my ADLS storage container. So I will browse to my JSON folder. I can select one or multiple files to bring in. I'll just bring in one for this video. This is a file with some government vehicle data. As you can see, it's kind of obscure data, but it'll serve us nicely for today's video. We get our options window here where we can set different options for things. WhereScape has already looked at the file. It knows it's JSON, so I don't really need to do anything here. I'll just say OK. And then from here, we can tell it what data we want to parse out into the file. We can bring in everything that's in there, or we could bring in just a subset. So if I wanted to bring in just this trip update information, I could highlight that, click add, and then that's all I would parse out. But in this case, I want to go ahead and bring in everything. And I'm going to rename this to something a little nicer. So we'll call this vehicle data. I'll say OK. And then I just click finish. Now WhereScape is going through, it's looking at the file, it's parsing everything out so it can figure out what the data types are for each node. And it is going to be generating that Python script I mentioned earlier. So now you can see here we have our file represented and all the different columns that are within the file. We can see the names, we can see the data types, and you can see how it nests everything within the column name based on the nesting within the JSON file. Next, to actually land this data in my data warehouse, I just drag and drop here into the center. We're going to create what we call a load table. This load table is going to be just an exact copy of the JSON file with everything, all the data parsed out, like I mentioned, all the nodes parsed out into different columns. So now it's running. It's creating this table in here based on the file. My target here is Snowflake, but this would work with any of our targets: Snowflake, Databricks, Synapse, SQL Server, Oracle, whatever you have. And so now we can see we've created this table up here. We've loaded the data. We loaded a little more than 3,000 records. We can go in here and we can look at the data now and make sure that everything looks okay. We can verify this against our complicated JSON file here if we want to. So that's how we would land JSON data into our data warehouse. We have parsers for JSON, XML, Avro, ORC, and Parquet. So pretty much, any input data file you might be working with, we'll go ahead and be able to parse it out automatically into table for you, saving you all the time and trouble of having to generate all this code yourself to go ahead and do all that work. So here you can see the Python code that's been generated to do all the parsing, the insert statement here that's going to the target table, including the lateral flattens that are needed here for Snowflake. Next, as I said, we're going to load from a REST API. It's going to be a very similar process. So I've got this REST API connection set up here. If we look at that, you can see here, it just needs your basic API information so it can make the call. So the URL, the method, and the result type are the three that are required at least. Then you can add other information as needed. User ID, password, headers, whatever you need. This is also configurable, so if there's extra things that you need to add in order to get the API to return, you can add those parameters in there, and those will be used in the call that is made. But I've got this set up to pull down some university data. So this is the URL that is going to pull back all this data for us. So I can browse that API connection, and we skip the folder section because it's just an API call, but again, you can see we're going to be landing this as JSON and then parsing it out. So I can say okay here. Again, I could pull in just some of the items that I want, or I can pull in everything. So we could say we'll pull in everything, but I could go in here and I could remove web pages, for example, if I didn't want to bring in that information. And again, we can rename this. And we'll say okay, and then finish. And then WhereScape's doing the same thing again, generating a script that will make the API call, pull the data in, and parse it all out for me. So here you can see again, we have all of our columns parsed out from the API call, and I just drag and drop. I'll accept the default options. And again, it's going to generate this target table in Snowflake for me and land all the data in there. It's getting these column names, of course, from what's in the nodes in the API call or in the JSON file. But of course, I could change these if I wanted to. I could call them something else. I could remove this extraneous underscore if I want to, things like that. So we can see it's created the table, loaded 2,300 records. And again, we could go in here and we could look at the data and see here all of our beautiful university data. So now the file or the API call, the data has been landed, it's been parsed out, it's now stored in an actual physical table in your target database. And from here you can use WhereScape to flow the data further to create your dimensions, your facts, whatever you need in your star schema. You can of course create intermediary stage tables that will do transformations, joins, and things like that to the data. And of course, you can join this data now to data you get from other sources, such as other databases. I could join this university data to this vehicle data if I had a column to join on, because it's all just stored in the database now. So that's it. That's how easy it is to bring in these different types of semi-structured data into WhereScape using WhereScape RED. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video.